and welcome to the Wicked Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Now, Honorable Moses Kuria and Ferdinand Waitito have been acquitted of hate speech charges due to insufficient evidence despite the video clips presented before the court, which is understandable because if video was that incriminating, then Van Damme and Rambo would now be in jail for this. Yes, video evidence is treated as a movie in court. Yes, the only way video evidence can take down someone is if the authenticity of the video can fully be proven or if the individual in the video is Kofi Olomide. I did not make that up. It's all in the law of evidence that was created in 1963, later amended in 2009, allowing material from electronic devices to be used as evidence in court. And that makes the subject of our show tonight, the justice system in Kenya. A system whose principle appears to be kutumiwa kama mfano kwa watu wengine wenye tabia kama hii.
Benedict Mondi will spend 1 month in prison after he pleaded guilty to avoiding to pay 40 shillings while aboard an Embakasi commuter train. Nairobi Senior Principal Magistrate Joyce Gandani convicted him on his own plea and he was asked to pay a fine of 3,000 shillings.
This must be the literal definition of a fair trial. Yes. What I find interesting in this country is that petty offenders are most used as bad examples. Bigger thieves are role models. Petty offenses and DK kwenye beat have one thing in common. They have a tendency of growing out of proportion and finally turning into something else. If only DK angegrow hivi kimuziki. Now, wait, don't think about that. Not paying 40 bob fare cost this guy 3,000 bob fine. Now check out this case of another guy who was arrested for a minor offense, a traffic offense, but he tried to escape when he was taken to court.
Toka Kenyatta, karau wamenishika. Wakasema sasa niko na makosa mimi kama conductor, sijafaa uniform. Nikamwambia mimi kwa kweli mimi si conductor. Lakini sasa wakati nimeona sina pesa kutosha ama fine, nimeona kweli wacha ni epe kidogo.
Pipa risasi na utakuwa na shida. Chukua yeye uende na yeye.
Now, the guy could have lost his life. And I'm sure most of you missed this part.
Pipa risasi na utakuwa na shida. Chukua yeye uende. Chukua yeye uende.
And the cop makes it, he talks like being shot is a nice thing. Unajua ni bahati ungekula risasi yangu wewe. He made it sound like the police give bullets as a prescription. Aki wewe uko na bahati sana. Naona umeandikiwa risasi 3. Lakini risasi zimeisha. Unaweza jaribu kutoroka tena next time stock mpya ikiingia. That escape attempt was a very stupid idea. But guess what? He still deserves a fair trial. Everyone deserves a fair trial, including this guy. Even that guy deserves a fair trial because in his head, amefanyia hiyo ugali justice. Yes, everyone has a right to a fair trial. And that's why even for people who cannot afford the services of a lawyer, they can have one provided by the government to help you defend yourself against the government. How interesting. Imagine you've been reported to your head teacher who appoints a teacher to defend you against the head teacher. Kichana, please tell me. I will not tell the head teacher because you are protected by the attorney-client privilege. Would you tell the truth? And if you think that's an interesting situation, then you probably haven't heard of the terms of a civil suit. If you take someone to court, you are responsible for their meals in custody as the case progresses. You are the complainant, but somehow the justice system makes you pay for their sins. That has to be the most twisted version of lunch is on me. And here's a fun fact about trials. You can never be tried more than once for the same crime. So anytime you get that message from someone, I tried calling you 2 times, most recently, blah, 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 they broke the law. Yes. And if only we had space in prisons, for watu wengine, wenye tabia kama hii.
The justice system is clogged with less serious offenses. Almost 70% of those arrested and detained have been charged with petty crimes, including drunken disorderly conduct and property disputes, which results in detention centers being congested and delays of trials.
Now, the president recently released 7,000 petty offenders in a bid to decongest the prisons. Petty offenders, for those who may not know, are chicken thieves, like the president says, and people who remove your phone from the charger at 5% so that they can charge their power bank. Sababu charger ni yake.
7,000 people approximately ambao tumewaachilia. Hawa ni wale tumesema wezi wa kuku na ng'ombe na mambo chache hii kidogo. Na ndio Chief Justice sasa ako na nafasi ya kufunga wale mabonyenye ambao wameiba pesa mingi. Nafasi kwa jela sasa imetoshea.
And that answers the question of why no one's getting jailed for corruption. The prisons are full. And if you are very keen enough, you must have noticed the president's reactions as he was reading the news.
Tumewaachilia.
Everyone knows what that reaction means. The president knows that some of the people being released are going right back in. It was more like a midterm break. I have a feeling this is what was going on in the president's mind. And true to that, we had cases of people being rearrested after the mass release of prisoners, despite the fact that the presidential pardon doesn't come easy. It's a very complicated process, which explains why it's taking so long for Prezo to forgive Jaguar. Yes, petty offenses and cartels are the greatest obstacle to the justice system in Kenya. In my opinion, lawmakers, lawbreakers, and law enforcers have an equal contribution to this. The matter of cartels, if you ask me, is a non-issue, though. We can learn from Jamaica. They arrested theirs. Let's look at petty offenses for a minute. In the Police Act, you can be charged with crimes like loitering with malicious intent. That's basically going to jail for your walking style. Or how do you explain, how do you loiter within the limits of the law? Kwanza imagine that in court. Ati my lord, nilikamata hii kichana akitembea hivi. Akitembea hivi, alafu akisema mapega. So he's here on two accounts. Loitering with malicious intent and pegging. I'd be shocked if we don't have anyone serving a sentence for that. And that explains such interesting ideas to decongest the prisons.
But the country's top judge thinks part of the problem for this backlog is Kenyans' appetite for seeking legal redress, even over mundane issues. And the CJ has some ideas of how to decongest the courts, including proposals some may find ridiculous or even queer.
I've told people that they can go to the witch doctors and have their issues sorted out.
Immediately, the former Chief Justice said this. The local witch doctors from Tanga, you know them, updated their list of services in their posters to include tunatibu kesi, just below nguvu za kiume. And that, I believe, was on a lighter note. The best idea in the ongoing judiciary reforms is the introduction of mobile courts.
We are very serious about taking justice to Kenyans.
Each Land Rover is fitted with a vehicle tracking system that will be used by the transport manager at the judicial headquarters. The tracking system will be used to monitor how much fuel is being consumed, the speed at which the vehicles are being driven, and their locations at any particular time.
The mobile courts were introduced so that things can start moving in the judiciary. As you can see, courts are now moving from one place to another. Kesi tukiendanga. And the actual reason mobile courts were actually introduced was to reduce the backlog of cases to save time, but still, this matter needs to be tackled from other angles too. And the CJ couldn't have put this better.
And for the man in charge of the country's judiciary, not all cases need to end before judges and magistrates, particularly those involving siblings.
This idea of people saying tutakutana kotini ni upumbavu.
That is everyone's favorite phrase. But leave alone family disputes. Imagine courts having to deal with cases like this.
The most basic tenet of Christianity is that Jesus had to die. And through the ages, that's been depicted in countless religious symbols, paintings, and films. But a Kenyan lawyer believes those responsible for the crucifixion need to answer for their crime 2,000 years later.
My case is that Pontius Pilate, who tried Jesus Christ, had no jurisdiction. The judge himself, on the record, says he had no jurisdiction. Later, he changed the story when he was under pressure. He convicted Jesus, who also did not have an equivocal plea of guilty, and he sentenced him in a sentence which was also not lawful.
Now that Jesus died for our sins, if this guy wins the case, where does that leave us? Now we'll have to die for our own sins. And don't underestimate the guy. Listen to his argument.
If you look at it, in case the soothsayer told you that you would have a son and your son will be run over by a motor vehicle, in case you had such son and the son was run over by a motor vehicle, would the one responsible for killing your son by dangerous driving not be charged for causing death by dangerous driving?
The prophet of doom should also be arrested as an accomplice. And you see, this is one thing with lawyers. They can make an argument from nothing. You can underestimate this guy, then the next thing is a court order to exhume the Pontius Pilate. And that's the strength of a lawyer. Language. Lawyer's language, I call it the law of confusion. For example, what do you call a child in English? Simple. A child. For lawyers, a child is called an issue of marriage. Issue, really. Now I understand why mademu catch and ladies get mad ukiwa uko na issues. I understand. And I can see what you're thinking, and I'll not say it. I know what you want me to say. To the deputy president has issues. I did not say that. That's what you want me to say. Now, it's almost impossible to talk exhaustively about the justice system in Kenya in just one show. But one thing that everyone agrees on is that there is lack of trust in our system, in our judiciary system, and justice system in general. That is why extrajudicial means of dispute resolutions are being adopted, like mob justice, extrajudicial killings. But there is hope that with the ongoing reforms in the judiciary, the public will restore their confidence in the system, and things like one judge jailing people and another releasing them after 2 days can be avoided. Welcome back to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Our subject tonight is the justice system in Kenya. And you can get in touch with us with our social media handles, slide into our DMs. Just stolen Larry's phrase. But I have a lawyer in the house. Now, first of all, our guest on the show tonight will probably be one of the richest Kenyans on Judgment Day. Click on that, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, my learned friend.
Yes.
Ama mimi sijasoma kama.
Unaweza niita tu, lakini sana sana ni lawyers ndio tunaitana learned friend. Sasa wewe tunaweza sema you are educated.
Difference ya educated. Unajua nyinyi pia na kizungu yenu sijui mnatoa wapi. Difference ya learned na educated.
Ni mmefanya education, sisi tumelearn kwa process.
Ulianza makesi kitambo. You went in 4 schools, if not 5, high school.
Shule nilienda kadhaa.
Expulsion ama?
Masaspe, my expulsion zote zilikuwa.
Hauko unajua kujitetea back then?
Ilikuwa kwa sababu ya kujitetea ndio kwa maana nilikuwa nafukuzwa.
Ulifukuzwa juu ya kujitetea?
Sasa sana unajua kama umeandikwa jina ati wewe ni noise maker na mwalimu hayuko, ni wewe na huyo prefect. Mwalimu akija anaanza kuambia wewe ulikuwa unapiga kelele, unamwambia hapana. Huyu jamaa tulikosana juu ya bread. Sasa ameniandika jina kwa sababu tulikosana. So wewe unakam kunipunish na yet difference ni kati yangu na huyu, mimi sikuwa napiga kelele.
So in short, unaweza toa mtu kwa kesi ya mada na wewe huwezi jitoa kwa kesi ya bread. In court, tunaambiwa the truth will set you free. But apparently, we have cases of people mtu anashikwa for petty offense, like drunk and disorderly. Labda ulikuwa unatembea, loitering with malicious intent. Sijui hiyo ni explain aje. Alafu mkienda court, unaambiwa just plead guilty ndio uachiliwe. Hata kama hujafanya makosa. What do you advise about that?
Kataa kama hujafanya makosa.
Because
first of all, hiyo makosa in as much as iko petty inabaki unakuwa na record. Kiendea certificate of good conduct alafu hauwezi pata.
Haukufanya so
haukufanya lakini umekubali. The moment umekubali imeenda on record.
Yes.
Hiyo file ikirudi returns inarudi na hiyo returns kuonyesha kuwa jamaa ni criminal na ameshakuwa convicted. So ukianza kwenda certificate of good conduct, you have a record. So anytime you have not done anything, why do you agree?
Because you unaangalia kukaa ndani 14 days. Nani alifix hiyo sheria hivyo?
Hapana, hata sio 14 days, hiyo ni mention date. Unaweza kaa ndani mention date, unaweza kaa even one day, unaweza rudi hata kesho yake. Hearing can be even the same day in the afternoon na umalize hiyo kesi. It can be a year later because there is no time.
A year later?
Yeah, lakini kama uko out on bond, because offenses kama hizi siku hizi, there's a loitering where you cannot be jailed for 6 months, you have got a right to be given bond, hata kama huwezi pata cash ama nini. Petty offenses, you have a right of getting bail. Hata kwa police station, you need to demand. The moment an offense is not exceeding 6 months kwa punishment yake, you are entitled to bail at a cash bail. Kama hata una cash bail, you're supposed to go home free.
Now there's this argument. I think I would brand this as the most popular legal excuse. Ya mtu kusema, I can't discuss that, the matter is still in court. Na watu wanaisukuma sana, watu wanaitumia vibaya cause kuna jamaa alishikwa na bangi, and I'm not making this up. Akaingiza hivi kwa mfuko akaambia polisi, I cannot discuss it, the matter is still in court. Kwa ndani ya koti. I spoke to a friend of mine. Akaniambia, apparently you can speak about a case hata ikiendelea as long as you don't talk about the merit. Limits za udaku ya kesi inafika wapi? Like,
you can discuss about a case kama mtu amechajiwa na rape ama tuseme amechajiwa na murder. Yes. You can discuss huyu mtu amechajiwa, vile alishikwa, and what you expect inaweza kuwa sentence yake ama any other options kama anaweza kuwa acquitted and all that. You can also discuss hiyo issue ya the details of how it happened and all that. But you cannot go to the level of now discussing the merits and the demerits of the case. Hapa alisema hivi, so the judge should think this way. Hapa amesema hivi, the magistrate should think this way. You should not start influencing that position because that matter is now kwa tribunal ama kwa court. It is being. So anything you start saying about the decisions that should be made is trying to influence a court as well.
Issues ni watoi. Ni ukweli, si ndio? Issues, like an issue of
issues ni watoi.
Issue kwa nini?
Okay. From medieval ages, tangu 18 something, that was the issue that watoto wanaita issues. So from us we have carried it onwards. So ukienda divorce, kuna divorce court, kuna case inaendelea ama kuna maintenance hivi, unaulizwa mko married, yes, did you get any issues? Issues sasa ni watoto. So issues here is not what you are going through. Issues are kwa hii particular nini watoi. How many issues do you have? Wawili, watatu, age, kila kitu.
Nikitaka sound fancy nasema my issue joined school last September. Mimi niko na issues zimeenda shule msee.
Unaweza iweka hivyo, lakini sasa unajua kwa sababu huko kotini you look much more fanciful ukisema ni mtoi wangu ako chuo, pia unataja pengine
sinataka kuprotect jina yake.
Lakini hana reason ya kuprotectiwa because now you're the one who's proudly saying mimi niko na mtoto na ako shule and all that. But you see for cases
language.
Yes,
mkiwa maboys hapo,
unaweza
yako hapo,
unaweza yeka ni kama shengi kiingiana inaingiana.
Naweza sound poa kama
unaweza lakini ukikuwa na issues na cousins yako na tunamaanisha watoi.
No, cousins. No, that was a slip.
Tumeenda incest. Tumeenda incest.
Okay. Sawa. Kifanya research hii story, tulikuwa na case fulani vile nyutoanisha mtu. Ati niko na swali kwako, the defendant. Unaambia ni aje? Poa. Ati uliona umbwa ikiwa pale like 500 meters. Okay, sawa. Nyinyi mnataka kugeuza hii umbwa ikuwe fox. Sio, hiyo ndio lawyers language.
Inaweza kuwa. Inaweza kuwa mimi
usikuwe lawyer sasa.
Ni 6 na 9. Wewe unaiona 9 hivi, mimi naiona 6. Hii side mimi naweza kuona ilikuwa fox. At that particular moment wewe umeona ni dogi. Wewe umeona ni dogi. Mimi nilikuwa naangalia naona kitu inakaa ni dogi kweli na ni fox. So at the time unanishika unaniambia mazee ilikuwa ni dogi, mimi nakwambia hapana boss, ile mimi niliona ni fox. So itakuuliza wewe ukiona, first of all uliona wapi? Una problem na macho? Hapana. Ilikuwa gala gani? Kuna fox ziko hiyo kala? Kuna fox zimegrow hiyo size ama ziko size ya dogi? Unaona yote ilibaki ukasikia ni dogi.
Na haukuwa hapo.
That is why I ask you those questions. That is why I ask you those questions because sana wala tuko pale kotini hatukuwa pale. The lawyer was not there ukishikwa. The magistrate was not there ukishikwa. The prosecutor was not there ukishikwa, polisi ndio wamekuleta.
But nyinyi ndio mnaongea ni kama mlikuwa hapo.
Sasa ndio nataka uniambie kama kitu uliona ilikuwa ni dogi na uniconvince ilikuwa ni dogi, ndio ule mwingine akuja akisema ni fox, nijue ilikuwa ni dogi si fox.
So in short, nikitaka kukuwa safe, ama mtu yote hapa nje akitaka kuwa safe, ukitembea una mark brown dog, 3 legs, 200 meters, just in case something happens.
In case unaenda kuwa involved with such an issue and you are there kama witness and all that, then make sure that your facts are correct. Because the first thing is this, nimekaa na saizi vile umekaa na watu hivi.
Yes.
My training of the mind imekuwa naweza angalia watu hivi quickly hivi na nijue nani amekaa pale, nani ana braids na nini, because for me it has been an issue kotini mpaka unakuwa alert nayo straight away. Unajua huyu dem amevaa kuna stripes za yellow na nini, akona braids na kila kitu. Hivyo kuna dem pale amevaa pale akona gap hivi, akona specs ule, unaona umeona raka. Ni kweli.
Ngoja. Kuna new twist hapa. Hiyo fox imekuwa fisi.
Ikakuwa. Ukileta kesi, kuja na kesi boss. Usikuje na mchezo.
Na unaweza tetea mtu amekuja ameekelewa kesi ya kuiba kuku?
Mob sana, by the way, anaweza kuambia saa hizi I do a lot of pro bono cases za watu.
Za kutetea tu basi.
Especially kama tuseme angalia kuna cases kama hizi za robbery with violence. Mtu amekuja amekutolea kachuma.
Robbery with usitumalize, lazima useme story, but robbery with violence. Hiyo kuna robbery with kindness like
hapana. Kuna simple robbery. Ile jamaa amekuja pengine amekupata na kuchukua tu vitu zako, hakuna threat, hakuna nini, lakini wako kadhaa 2 3, unajua hiyo ni robbery tu. Lakini robbery ni ku threaten boss, leta hiyo ama utakula mahindi.
Hii ya mahindi ndio robbery.
Ndio mbaya hiyo. Jamaa amekuja mchuma alafu ndio hiyo. Sasa unajua kupata guilty kwa robbery with violence, sentence yake ni death. Ni hanging act.
Okay. Sasa robbery with violence nini form of violence? Hata ukienda uambie mtu uchune mtu akupee kibeti hiyo.
Hapana, sasa unajua pia kama amekuchuna, hiyo kuchuna na amechukua kibeti yako pia unaweza angalia lakini the thing is the moment somebody says nitakupiga kama unipatii, ama in the process of kuchukua unajaribu ku defend akutandike ama akupige, violence has occurred either during, before or after. That is why it says that.
Na I think hiyo ni strict sana because kuna time wasi walikuwa naiba sana na coffee. Hiyo tu peke yake.
Yeah. Especially uko na simu, kama uko na simu mtu jamaa anakuweka slap by the time kuna mmoja anaongoja hapa down. Na ukienda kufuata anakushow boss.
Sijui coffee wakaji maze cause ukipigwa coffee unampea phone, alafu unamtafutia wallet na zima. Hata hakuwa anaitisha maze. Hiyo ni technique ya crime mama.
Hapana, wewe pengine tutatoa tu kivi yako.
Wewe coffee iko na charge.
Lakini kama na weapon pia unaweza toka mbio. Unachana.
But hebu patia wasi parting shot kwa upcoming criminals. Wasi bado wanafikiria kufanya crime na wajadu bado maybe wanaweza reconsider wakifikiria King Luther's show.
Hapana, everybody is supposed to be a citizen of this country first and foremost.
Yes.
Then apart from that, you must then respect the nation, you must be law abiding. If you are intending to commit crime, your crime does not pay.
Wapi makofi ya clip of Thank you very much for coming on our show.
No problem.
I hope tukikuita utakam tena.
Nitakuja.
Haya, sawa. That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kimori.